Today on UPSC PolityView, the Battle of Afghanistan as it wages on. In August 2021, a blast took the lives of nearly 100 Americans and Afghans. Hello and welcome to UPSC PolityView at UPSC Practice. Let's learn about the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, Khorasan province. The Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, Khorasan province, ISIL-KP or ISKP, is a branch of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, ISIL, active in South Asia and Central Asia. Some media sources also use the terms ISK, ISISK, ISKP or Daesh-Khorasan in referring to the group. ISIL-KP has been active in Afghanistan and its area of operations also includes other countries such as Pakistan, Tajikistan and India, where some individuals have pledged allegiance to it. ISIL announced the group's formation in January 2015 and appointed former Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan (TTP) militant Hafiz Saeed Khan as its leader, with former Afghan Taliban commander Abdul Rauf Aliza appointed as deputy leader. Aliza was killed in a US drone strike in February 2015, while Khan was killed in a US airstrike in July 2016. The leader of ISIL-KP, Abdullah Orokzai, also known as Aslam Faruqi, was captured in April 2020. In August 2021, ISIL-KP killed 13 American military personnel and at least 169 Afghanis during the US evacuation of Kabul, which marked the highest number of US military deaths in an attack in Afghanistan since 2011. Let's take a look at the background of ISISK. Around September 2014, ISIL sent representatives to Pakistan to meet with local militants including some Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan (TTP) factions following months of discussions. At the same time, leaflets, flags and propaganda materials in support of ISIL began being distributed in parts of Pakistan, including a pamphlet written in Pashto and Dari that called on all Muslims to swear allegiance to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. The leaflets were believed to have been produced and distributed from across the border in Afghanistan. In October 2014, former Taliban commander Abdul Rauf Khadim visited Iraq. Later on, he returned to Afghanistan where he recruited followers in Helmand and Farah provinces. In the same month, 6 TTP commanders in Pakistan, Hafiz Khan Saeed, official spokesman Shahidullah Shahid, and the TTP commanders of Kuram and Khyber tribal regions and Peshawar and Hangu districts publicly defected from the TTP and pledged allegiance to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi. On 10th January 2015, these 6 individuals appeared in a video where they again pledged allegiance to al-Baghdadi and nominated Hafiz Saeed Khan as the leader of their group. They were joined by other mid-level militant commanders including representatives from Afghanistan's Logar and Kunar province and Pakistan's Lakki Marwat. Shahidullah Shahid claimed that other jihadists from both countries supported the pledge of allegiance but had been unable to attend the meeting in person. Afghanistan and India have suspected that ISIL-K is a breakaway faction of the Tehrik-i-Taliban Pakistan. Let's take a look at the support of the ISISK. In Afghanistan, ISIL has not only been recruiting from the villages but also the urban middle class and specifically targeting the universities, as there have been cases of lecturers in Islamic law as well as students at Kabul University pledging allegiance to the group. Antonio Giustosi argues that ISK has encountered more success in Pakistan, heavily recruiting from mosques and madrasas, with 9 major madrasas linked to the group and around 100 small ones as well as some 150 mosques. Let's learn about the history of ISISK. On 26 January 2015, ISIL's official spokesperson Abu Muhammad al-Adnani released an audio statement in which he accepted the earlier pledge of allegiance and announced the expansion of ISIL's caliphate with the creation of Wilayat Khorasan in the Khorasan province, a historical region incorporating parts of Afghanistan and Pakistan. Hafiz Khan Saeed was appointed as its local leader or wali, the governor. Abdul Rauf was named as Khan's deputy and was killed by a US drone strike in Afghanistan some weeks later. ISIL began actively recruiting defectors from the Taliban, in particular among those who were disgruntled with their leaders or lack of battlefield success. This prompted senior Taliban leader Akhtar Mansour to write a letter addressed to Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi asking for the recruitment in Afghanistan to stop and arguing that the war in Afghanistan should be under Taliban. Nevertheless, fighting between the two groups broke out in Nangarhar province, and by June 2015, ISIL had been able to seize territory in Afghanistan for the first time. After driving the Taliban out of certain districts of Nangarhar after months of clashes, the group started carrying out its first attacks against Afghan forces in the province. Khorasan province also developed a presence in other provinces including Helmand and Farah. In 2015, ISIL began broadcasting Pashto language radio in Nangarhar province, later on adding content in Dari. The group was boosted in August 2015 when the Afghanistan-based militant group, the Islamic Movement of Uzbekistan or IMU, pledged allegiance to ISIL and declared that it was a member of Wilayat-Khorasan. Clashes broke out between IMU and the Taliban in Zabul province following this pledge. The Taliban launched an offensive causing casualties. The Taliban succeeded in dislodging ISIL from Farah province over the same period. In 2016, the group lost control of the majority of its territory in Nangarhar province. It was driven out of Achin and Shinwar districts following a military operation by Afghan security forces, while clashes with the Taliban led to it being driven out of Batikot and Chaparhat districts. Following the loosening of targeting restrictions by US forces in Afghanistan earlier in the year of 2016, the US Air Force began conducting scores of airstrikes against ISIL targets. In April 2016, the Taliban reported that a number of senior and mid-level leaders of Wilayat-Khorasan in Nangarhar province had defected from ISIL and pledged allegiance to Taliban leader Akhtar Mansour. The defectors included members of the group's Central Council, Judicial Council and Prisoner Council, as well as certain field commanders and fighters. In 2017, United States estimated that ISISK has less than 1,000 fighters, down from the mark of 2,500 in 2015. A stronghold in eastern Afghanistan also collapsed as a result of concerted military offensives from United States, Afghan forces and Taliban. On 25 December 2017, in a video of a Kashmiri militant declaring allegiance to the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant and declaring an ISIL province in Kashmir, the fighter called on Ansar Ghazwat-ul-Hind to ally with or give allegiance to ISIL and wage jihad in Kashmir against the Indian government, but the group declined. On 15 May 2019, ISIS declared new Pakistan province and India province branches after claiming attacks in Balochistan and Kashmir respectively. This suggests that while the Khorasan province still exists, its self-proclaimed geographical area may be reduced. On 4 April 2020, the National Directorate of Security announced the arrest of the head of ISIL Aslam Faruqi by the Afghan military forces, who took him into custody along with 20 other commanders. On 26 July 2020, a United Nations report stated that even though the ISIL branch in Afghanistan has undergone further severe reverses in its former Afghan strongholds of Nangarhar and Kunar provinces, it was too soon to discount it as a threat, and although in territorial retreat, ISIL in Afghanistan remains capable of carrying out high-profile attacks in various parts of the country, including Kabul, it added. On 8 May 2021, a car bombing followed by 2 more improvised explosive device IED blasts occurred in front of Syed al-Shuhada School in Dasht-e-Barchi, a predominantly Shia neighborhood of western Kabul, leaving at least 90 people dead and 240 injured. The majority of the casualties were girls between 11 and 15 years old. The attack took place in a neighborhood that has frequently been attacked by militants belonging to the regional ISIL-K over the years. Taliban spokesman condemned the attack and held ISIL-K responsible for the attack. On 26 August 2021, an ISIL-K suicide bomber attacked the Kabul airport, killing over 170 people, including 28 Taliban members and 13 US military personnel. Amidst the Taliban advance on Kabul in preceding weeks, hundreds to thousands of ISIL-K prisoners had been released or otherwise escaped from detention, leading to US fears of attacks on the airport and future targets. After the attack, the Taliban announced that they would curtail the operations of ISISK and capture its leader Shahab al-Mujahid. Let's take a look at the operations by the opponents of ISISK. On 13th April 2017, a Moab was dropped in an airstrike on a cave complex in Achin district, Nangarhar province, Afghanistan. It was the first use of the bomb on the battlefield. The Afghan Defense Ministry reported it to have killed over 36 militants and destroyed the tunnel complex, including a cache of weapons. No civilian casualties were reported. On 14th April 2017, Pakistan security agencies, along with the local police, raided a house in Lahore's factory area as part of their combing operation, which was approved by Pakistan's Chief of Army Staff Qamar Javed Bajwa in the aftermath of Mall Road bombing. After an exchange of fire which killed one terrorist, 3 other suspects were arrested, one of them being Noreen Leghari, a student from Hyderabad, Pakistan, who was claimed to be missing by her family 4 days prior to the raid. On a confessional statement released by ISPR, Noreen confessed to joining ISIL through terrorists she met on social media. She also told authorities that she was recruited by ISIL to attack a church in Lahore on the Easter Sunday. 2 suicide jackets, 4 hand grenades and bullets were provided to them. On 4th September 2019, in a joint operation of Counter-Terrorism Department, FIA and Balochistan Constabulary, at least 6 ISIS militants were killed in an intelligence-based operation in Quetta's Beastern Bypass area. During the operation, 1 official of the Balochistan Constabulary was killed and 8 others from the Counter-Terrorism Department were injured. On 26 April 2017, a joint raid operation committed by US Army Rangers and Afghan Special Forces in the Nangarhar province resulted in the death of Sheikh Abdul Hasib, the leader of ISIL in Afghanistan. Along with Hasib, a number of other commanders of ISIL were killed according to a statement by the US military. 2 US soldiers died during the operation, possibly due to friendly fire. On 1st January 2019, Afghan Special Forces attacked ISISK in Nangarhar province's Achin district, killing 27 militants according to officials. 2 local ISIS leaders, Sadiq Yar and Syed Omar, were reported to be among those killed. On 10 January, senior ISISK leader commander Khetab Emir was also killed in a raid in Nangarhar, according to US Forces spokesman. Emir was reported to have facilitated major attacks and provided ISISK bomb makers with explosive materials. On 30th April 2019, Afghan government forces undertook clearing operations directed against both ISISK and the Taliban in eastern Nangarhar province after the 2 groups fought for over a week over a group of villages in an area of illegal talc mining. The National Directorate of Security claimed 22 ISISK fighters were killed and 2 weapons caches destroyed, while the Taliban claimed US-backed Afghan forces killed 7 civilians. A provincial official said over 9,000 families had been displaced by the fighting. On 21st August 2019, an airstrike killed 6 militants of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant in Nangarhar province, including 2 Pakistani nationals. According to a UN report, up to 70 ISIL fighters arrived from Iraq and Syria to form the core of the group in Afghanistan. Alongside foreign fighters from Pakistan and Uzbekistan, most of the group's membership growth has come from recruiting Afghan defectors from the Taliban. US General Sean Swindell told the BBC that members of the Khorasan province are in contact with ISIL's central leadership in Syria, although the exact relationship between the two is unclear. While the group has managed to establish a foothold in Afghanistan, it has largely carried out isolated, smaller-scale attacks in Pakistan. Thank you for listening to this article on the ISISK. For more such discussions, get the UPSC Practice app from the App Store.